Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode, and by the title of this video you can already guess what we are doing today. But before I show you the car that we have bought, I think it is a good idea to give you guys a backstory about how all of this came about. So a few nights ago I was chilling with my friends on Discord when Jasper spotted an advertisement for this Volvo 240 that was listed for 150 euros. And it immediately caught our interest because obviously that is really cheap. But when I read the advertisement, it said that the owner wanted people to place bids on the car and that the starting price was 150 euros. Nevertheless, our interest was sparked because it was listed very close to where I live and it was only listed for a couple of hours. So we were hoping to get there fast and get a good deal on it. So right after I roll the intro, you see me waking up really early and giving the man a call to see if we can make something happen. All my friends, yellow rider. Goedemorgen meneer. Ik bel in verband met een Volvo 240 die u te koop staan heeft.
Ja, dat klopt.
I talked with the owner for a couple of minutes and the whole conversation came down to this. He told me that the highest offer he got for the car was 1,300 euros, insane I know, and he would let that person come check out the car first. So I told him that if the first buyer does not show up, he can give me a call. And around 2 PM he did call me back to say that it was okay for me and the boys to come take a look. Okay guys, so I just got a call from the guy that sells the Volvo that it's okay for us to come check the car out. So I'm going to pick up Jasper right now and then we are going to the guy's house, so yeah. The two of us made our way to the spot and the seller warned us that we would have to drive on some dirt roads to get to the Volvo because it is sitting in a woody area. Then we took a left into a one-way road and finally caught the first glimpse of the Volvo.
Ja, wat ben je?
Wow. Eventually Thibaut joined the party as well and the three of us inspected the car as best as we could. All the tires were flat, the engine had no coolant in it and the oil level was very low, so we couldn't really start the car. But nevertheless we noticed that there was a lot of potential hiding under the thick layer of green slime. So therefore we decided to have faith in Volvo and their indestructible reputation and just buy the car without knowing if it runs. And thus, after some back and forward negotiating, we landed on a price of 350 euros, which will be split by Jasper, Thibaut and me. We are still a bit nervous about possible defects that we've missed, but we have a good feeling about it in general. In a later stage of the video I'll do a full walk around of the car so you can get a better impression of the car as well, but for now we are leaving it because we obviously can't drive it home. The next day we rented a car trailer and hitched it up to my Audi A6. The plan is that Thibaut and I go to the Volvo and get it prepared for transport so that later today Jasper's dad can tow it home because my driver's license doesn't allow me to do something like that. Our first stop was at Jasper's place because he had some Volvo wheels laying around that we can use instead of the flat tires that are currently on it. When we got to the spot, our first goal was to reverse the trailer into the one-way street because there's no space to make a U-turn.
Sure.
We unhitched the trailer and parked it to the side, because we will probably need my car to drag the Volvo out.
Jawel.
All the tires are flat and we brought spares, but Thibaut had the idea to try and inflate the tires with the little 12-volt air pump in the trunk of my Audi. So we unloaded the tires and gave it a go.
Ja, dat is goed. Ja. Dus 2 bardiers. Draait er maar in één keer op.
Nice.
Nice. Misschien toch nog. Deze ziet er beter uit dan de vorige. Dat ja.
Nee, roodstone.
Zie je, er staat een album bar op.
Nice.
Shit man. Great stuff.
All the tires inflated beautifully apart from the right front. It is slowly leaking, but we hope that it stays inflated long enough for us to move the car.
Ah, hier.
Ja.
Ik wil het zeggen. Geen kans. Ja.
Pushing the car is not going to happen, so we are going to use my Audi to pull it onto the road. Oké, we kunnen aan het stuur draaien. Oké.
Oh!
We successfully pulled the Volvo into the one-way street, so I'm turning my Audi around so that we can use its headlights as a light source while we wait for Jasper and his dad to arrive. Once they got there, we hooked up the trailer to Jasper's Volvo V70 and then loaded the car on top of it. With the Volvo strapped down safely, our convoy can get on the road and head to my place.
Ja, zie.
The Volvo got home safe and sound, and I hope that the footage of the rescue was at least decent. I know it was a little bit dark outside and that might affect the footage a little bit. It is a shame that at 5 p.m. it gets dark here in winter. But the plan for the rest of the night is to move the Volvo inside of the shop so that we can fix this window, so that when I want to park it outside I have the option to do so. But that means that we have to fit it under the E28, and I hope once it is fully lifted that we have enough clearance under it to fit the Volvo under it. And then tomorrow I'm going to do a full walk around of the car so that you guys can see it properly in the daylight, and so that I can show you all the specs that it has and some defects that we have already spotted. But now I'm going to focus on getting it inside. I made a window out of some plastic that I had laying around, which will keep the seats dry for now. Speaking of the seats, I took out the rear bench so that it could dry overnight. It is the next day and the sun is shining beautifully, so let's do that walk around I promised you. So this is a 1987 Volvo 240 GL. The GL stands for Grand Lux, which means that it is one trim level above standard. It is powered by a 2.4 liter naturally aspirated diesel engine that produces a whopping 82 horsepower and 140 Nm of torque. It's nothing fast, in fact it is dreadfully slow, but it should be a reliable engine, and it has already powered the car for 280,000 kilometers. On the sheet of the last technical inspection that was performed in 2010, there are however some remarks, most of them due to corrosion and fluid leaks. Apart from all the paperwork, we also got the original Volvo manual, which is pretty cool. Let's move on to the exterior. Apart from looking like it was buried in a swamp, the body actually looks in okay shape. The car's color is a dark blue metallic, and it is currently decorated with a splash of nature. Although the car is dirty, the paint underneath still seems in excellent condition, but we'll have to clean everything off to be sure. A nice addition to the car's look are these 14-inch alloy rims, and I kid you not, these are called Corona style wheels. Go figure. Behind them lurk some brake discs, both in the front and in the rear, but we haven't checked them out yet, but they'll most likely need replacing. One window has been smashed in by vandals, which is really annoying. Not only did it cause the interior to become drenched due to the rain, It also covered everything inside with tiny glass shards. On the roof, the paint is in really bad condition, probably because of excessive sun exposure. It is however equipped with a cool roof rack, which is probably my favorite part of the entire car, and it also has a nifty sunroof. Something else that didn't come as standard is this rust hole. That is definitely something we'll have to fix as soon as possible, because otherwise our headliner will get ruined. Obviously that isn't the only rust spot. The front left fender, for example, has some crusty spots as well, so we'll probably look for a replacement in the near future. The trunk is even worse. The outside is sort of okay, but on the inside it is rotting away pretty badly, which makes it the worst panel on the car. But the good news is that for as far that we could see, the underside of the car looks very good. There are no corrosion spots to report, and we suspect that at some point the car has received an anti-corrosion treatment. Now let's take a look at the engine. The first thing to note is that the hinges on the hood are broken off, so it won't open and close properly. That is why it needs to be supported by this wooden plank, which also reveals that from now on we're calling the car Greta due to her Swedish heritage. Anyway, the engine is a 2.4 liter straight 6 naturally aspirated diesel engine, and if I'm not mistaken, it was originally designed by Volkswagen. We haven't started it yet, so if it will run is a big question mark. The oil cap does not show any worrying signs, and the dipstick shows, well, nothing really. It looks like there is a tiny bit of oil at the end of the dipstick, so hopefully there is some oil in the block. The expansion tank is as dry as can be, but the source of that issue can be easily appointed since there is a rip in one of the coolant hoses. The high pressure diesel pump seems to be moving like it should, so hopefully that will work, because it will put a big dent in our budget if it is broken. We did notice that one of the high pressure lines was fixed in a very optimistic way, so we'll need to at least replace one of the lines. Furthermore, there seems to be a giant leak coming from the valve cover, so that will definitely need to be addressed. Something cool to spot in the engine bay is this gauge. It is an air pressure gauge for the rear suspension. Supposedly, this Volvo should have an airbag system on the rear dampers that can be filled or deflated depending on the car's load. We suspect our dampers have been replaced by generic ones because the gauge reports no pressure and the car still sits at a normal height. I think that is everything I need to tell you about the engine. Now let's move on to the interior. The upholstery is made out of blue plush, which is still in excellent condition and looks really comfortable. But sadly we didn't sit in them yet because of all the glass. The dashboard cluster does not have a rev counter, which is a bummer, but it is not uncommon for cars of this era. Apart from that, the driver's seat looks like an excellent place to be in for a long road trip. It even has electric windows. In the rear, the back seat is missing because I took it out to dry, and the carpet still is very wet, so that is something we'll need to take care of soon. One of my favorite things about this car is the room that is created when the rear seats are folded down. The space is big enough for a mid-size family to live in, and it definitely will be used to transport some car parts. That is everything I have to tell you about this car for now. If you happen to live in Belgium and have some spare parts for sale like a window or a fender, send me an email or a DM on Instagram. So I hope that you guys now have a better view of what the car is like, and I also hope that you are as excited about it as much as I am, and also Jasper and Thibaut. And if you are excited about this content, please consider subscribing. There are going to be a lot of good videos coming for this car. So yeah, speaking of the next videos, I think in the next video we are going to start with a full clean on the car, because that is really necessary. It is really disgusting. And we are also very curious to see what is laying underneath all of this dirt. So that is probably going to be it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.